Kim, don't tell. I'm gonna have to get new glasses. Hey. I'm ready to rock and roll. Pardon? Well, that's all right. I meant for everybody to hear it. I'm ready to rock and roll. I know. Excuse me. Keep forgetting.
This time I'd like to call the regular meeting of January the 12th, 2016 to order. And before I ask Councilman Cole to lead us in the invocation pledge allegiance, I'd like for us all to, if we would, stand and have a moment of silence and remembrance for a great friend of Anderson County, great statesman, and a great, graceful Southern gentleman, Senator Billy O'Dell and his family. Amen. At this time, Councilman Cole leads an invocation, pledge allegiance.
Please bow with me in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for your many blessings. Thank you for this group of people elected to conduct county for the business elected to conduct business for this county. Lead, guide, and direct us to seek your will in every decision we make. Please be with the family of Senator Billy O'Dell. Give them the peace that only you can give. Be with us as we elect a replacement for the senator. Help us to elect a good Christian that will seek your guidance in every decision affecting South Carolina. Be with us this year to help us elect all Christian leaders to run the United States. May your will be done in all of this. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we move on, just want to have a little bit of housekeeping things on the agenda. Item number 14 will not be taken up tonight. That's entirely item 14 through J. That's the Finance Committee. Due to the death of Mr. Senator Billy O'Dell, we postponed the Finance Committee meeting, and due to conflicts, we were unable to get one scheduled before tonight's meeting, so that will be soon to be done at the next, brought up at the next council meeting, which is only will be a week from now. Hearing of that, yes, ma'am.
That I would like to change as well as we go through the agenda, the items that I want to postpone. I will tell you that as we get to those items.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Moving on to election of chairman.
Mr. Chair, yes, sir. It gives me great honor to have the honor to nominate Tommy Dunn to be our chairman of county council.
Second.
Thank y'all. Any more nominations? Well, hearing none, nominations will be closed. All in favor of Tommy Dunn, show of hands. All opposed? So the motion carries. Mr. Waters, Mr. Allen, Mr. Dunn, Mr. Cole, Mr. Crowder, Ms. Wilson in favor, Ms. Floyd opposed. Now, moving on to vice chairman, nominations for vice chairman. Cole?
Chairman, it's my honor to nominate Chairman Ken Waters.
Have a motion.
Second.
Here.
Motion second, Mr. Waters, anyone else? Hearing none, the nomination will be closed. All in favor, Mr. Waters, show of hands. All opposed, so the motion carries. Mr. Waters, Mr. Allen, Mr. Dunn, Mr. Cole, Mr. Crowder, Ms. Wilson in favor, Ms. Floyd opposed.
Mr. Chairman, I have a
Yes.
presentation I need to do, I think, at this time. This would, what we'd like to do is, like to thank Mr. Dunn for being the past chairman this year. This is a very time-consuming job, and in appreciation and recognition to R. Tommy Dunn for your visionary guidance and exceptional leadership as chairman of county council. And appreciate that.
Appreciate you. Appreciate all council members very much. Appreciate it. Thank y'all very much. We'll be moving on now to the thing. Next on to item number 5, comments from Ms. Floyd.
Thank you. Again, we have had another election. And again, we have elected the same council member. I think this is 4 times. I was hoping, with everything that I had within me, that one of the other council members would step up to the plate to become our council members. I am a full believer that if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. I think that last year, our past council member did not have the time to fully invest in the job as council. And a lot of things were pushed aside or wasn't done because I feel that the time was not available. Also, I feel like I was treated badly at the beginning of the last year because I did not vote for the council person. I'm opening myself up to the same thing. It's okay, because I owe it to the people that I serve to speak up. I think another council member would do as well as Mr. Dunn has tried to do. We would have a new vision, a new purpose, new ideas, new things that we could bring to the council. And I was hoping that this was the year that we would do that. Last year, because of my stand, I did not get the position that I asked for on the committee. But I lived through it. I'm all right. I will not go along to just get along. This year's election is the same old thing. This is the first time, and I don't know about Anderson County's history, but it's the first time I've ever known for one person to serve 4 years in a row. I am not looking for the job, but if this were a position where anybody else who wanted it and nobody would stand up, I would. And I can't understand my colleagues. I can't understand how they can be satisfied with this kind of thing. But I am a team player, if you allow me to be. And I will be on the team if I am allowed to be. If not, you do what you've always done to me, you're gonna always get what you always got. And I thank you.
Moving on to item number 6, approval of the minutes. Have any changes, corrections to be made to the December 15th, 2015 meeting?
May
Ms. Wilson?
I just corrected what related to my comments. On page 33, line 49, it appears that in transcription they left something off. Right after my name, it should say, as your county council pro bono. And on page 36, line 48, where we came out of executive session, it should say, may I make the motion to come out of executive session? They somehow didn't pick up on that. That's all that I have.
Wilson? Anyone else?
I actually have none, but I say again, I only look at my part of the agenda and not other people's part.
Thank you. Ms. Wilson, make that motion, make those corrections and changes.
May I make the motion to approve the minutes with the 2 corrections?
Thank you.
Second.
Second, Mr. Crowder. Any further? And all in favor of the motion, show of hands. All opposed, like sign. So the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item number 7, administrator's goals and plans for 2016. Mr. Burns?
Mr. Chairman, I was asked to give this presentation that I have given to...
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
point of order. Mr. Brent, would you mind going to the podium, please? We can all
no
hear you.
problem whatsoever.
Thank you.
And so I'm going to do those remarks again. First thing that I spoke about was that the council had an emphasis on all of Anderson County. And as illustrations, I talked about the work that we had been doing in Powdersville and economic development. First thing I mentioned was the new Coca-Cola plant that is under construction in Powdersville. I also pointed out that in conjunction with Duke Energy, we were doing an industrial site survey on a large piece of property, probably one of the last large tracts of land in Anderson County that has water and sewer. So we were preparing that to make sure that that's industry ready. Things that we're doing in Pelzer. Pelzer, as you know, the council received a grant to do a brownfields work over in the Pelzer area along the Saluda River. So we're engaged in that, as well as in the Toxaway Mill site. So we're doing work in both of those areas. The other thing, one of the other things I mentioned was the work that the county had been doing, which Mr. Allen has been vitally involved in, was working with the town of Pendleton to allow them to expand the boundaries of their town. Council, as you know, has voted to allow Pendleton to expand their sewer boundaries. So what we're hoping is going to happen, that the town of Pendleton is going to double in size along Clemson Boulevard, anchored at Wild Hog Road or South Carolina 187. So that project has been ongoing for some time. We're still working to iron out a few wrinkles, but I think we finally see daylight. Another thing I mentioned was the announcement in Belton, South Carolina of Home Tech, which is going to create 100 jobs in the Belton area. We hope it's going to create a lot more, but they agreed to say 100, so we were excited about that. We talked about the great economic development event that is coming to Honeypath, and that is the fact that Grace's is going to open a second restaurant on Main Street in Honeypath. So they will now have 2 locations, so people are excited about that. The other thing that we've talked about is council has approved, as you did year before, $150,000 for demolition. This year the council was fortunate to receive $2.5 million for demolition of houses, plus the money that council put in the budget to demolish houses. So we're hoping by using all of this money that we can demolish 80 houses. Every member of council had a chance to pick out certain properties that they wanted us to examine. So that process is ongoing also. As a matter of fact, we have about 22 properties identified at this time, and we're in negotiations with the owners of those properties to bring some of those plans to fruition. The other thing that we mentioned was the fact that the Bells Building, we say January 18th, working with the city of Anderson, their skating rink is going to be open until January the 18th. So we have placed our demolition to occur after that time period. But at that time period, our demolition project will take place. As council is aware, and you've seen the information, you know what the bids were for that. We've already done the asbestos study. So that's going to be moving on. When that's complete, we will be putting a wooden fence around that. And we were hoping that we would invite some art students from all of the school districts to participate in decorating it, because if we don't do that, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to freelance decorate it on their own. So that's one of the things that we've been talking about. One of the things that is absolutely very dry and is not fun, and it'll be especially no fun for Leon, is that our municipal code hasn't been, our county code hasn't been updated in about 16 years. We have laws that could be in contradiction of state law. We have laws that overlap each other. So what this process is going to involve is us going through every one of those processes with Leon and the company that council's already approved us to hire, to get us a code of ordinances that a new code of ordinances, not new laws, but cleaning up what we have, put those up on our website and make sure it's available at libraries so everybody will have a clear and concise record. Council will have a lot of votes to take during this process to correct some of these things, and we will make sure that you have these changes well in advance. But that's a very big project, and I think it's very important. The other thing that we talked about is litter, because litter is constantly on people's minds in Anderson County. This council has already voted. For years we had 2 litter officers. Now in last year's budget we added a 3rd litter officer, so the county is now broken up into thirds. Forever we had 1 inmate work crew that was able to go out and hit hot spots and try to maintain what we had. Now council voted we have 2 inmate litter crews. So we have 2 crews that go out, they try to hit the hot spots, they hit areas of request, areas where accidents have taken care of. The other thing that we talked about was some initiatives that council had made in land use. As you know, council voted to do the 81 overlay to try to protect the entrance into Anderson County in that area. That's in effect, that's being enforced at this point in time. The other thing that we pointed out was the fact that council has approved an overlay over the east-west connector. And so that is in place at this point in time. So you have those things that have already been done by council, but just making people aware of what's happening. We have a signed contract to do our emergency services study. As you know, as council well knows, we had a rescue squad that died in the middle of the year. So we worked out a situation to provide temporary emergency service in that area. We have talked about some of the impacts of the Affordable Care Act and how they're affecting emergency services. Services that they used to pay for in the past primarily had to do with transport. And so now those processes to transport patients has been tied very closely to what your doctor allows. They cannot just run out and pick you up and carry you there and hope to get reimbursed. The big change primarily has been in the handling of dialysis patients. And so that used to be a major source of revenue for rescue squads in the transport business. That has been drastically redefined how you do that. I also made the point that a long time ago, the leaders in Anderson County divided Anderson County up into 5 school districts. At that point in time, every school district had around 28,000 people. I'm just going from memory here. But the people refused to stay where they were supposed to stay. So now you have some school districts that are larger and some that are smaller. And you have some of that with your EMS services. Great, wonderful people put those things together in small towns, and maybe those boundaries don't work anymore. Maybe there's a better way. But council's already authorized that study, and so that is underway. We also pointed out that the apps that every one of you know about, the SafeTown app, the PulsePoint app, and YourGov, and how people can use those right now at this point in time to make their lives safer. We also talked about the situation at Broadway Lake. And we talked about that we had estimates of around $350,000 to $500,000. As council well knows, we have an engineering company that specializes in dam repair. The two areas of concern there are the intake and the spillway, and that process is going on right now, and we're hoping that we can have that done, bid that project, and have that lake restored hopefully by June. That's if everything goes exactly right. You may have seen that there's been some new legislation that's going to be introduced in Columbia concerning dams across the state. We don't know exactly what that legislation is going to be at this point, or whether it's going to pass. Is it going to provide some reimbursement for public entities in dam repair? We just don't know, but we'll be monitoring that legislation. The other thing that we talked about is the work going on at the airport. Most people aren't very interested in something like this, but we have to make sure that the airspace around the airport is maintained, and that involves us going to get easements on property to cut the trees that an airplane could land, could crash into. And we have to do this. It's mandated by the federal government. They allocate the money to pay for it, but we have to do it. As a matter of fact, we were working on mediations with property owners this afternoon, trying to make that work out for everybody involved. So that process is ongoing. Another thing we talked about was the grant that we received for Green Pond, $660,000, the remainder of the PCB funds, which council's aware of. And as you know, we will be doing earthwork there, and to allow us at some point in time, if funds become available, to do a restroom out there and to do an amphitheater and to do some more paving out there. Also, as an aside to the Green Pond thing, in 8 weeks we're going to have another major bass tournament out there. I'm not telling you that we're not having tournaments out there just about every weekend, but this is going to be another large national tournament in 8 weeks. The other thing that we talked about, and people have a lot of interest in, is our animal shelter, Paws. We had a very successful promotion at Christmas. $4 for an animal that's been spayed, neutered, has all its shots, everything done, and microchipped for $4. We were able to get 400 animals a new home at the shelter, and so we were very proud of that, and especially proud of the staff who worked with such great gusto and enthusiasm to make that happen. So that's going well, because the thing you can see now from our numbers is our intake. Council people don't remember, started allocating $75,000 a year to go to the Humane Society to allow for low-cost spay and neuter. Now that process would take 4 or 5 years to bear fruit. We're probably in year 4 off the top of my head, but you can see the intake numbers going down now at this time, so it's working. But we still have a lot of strays. We still have a lot of animals that we have on rabies hold. We have a lot of animals on animal abuse cases that when they come to us, they become evidence, and we have to hold them for the duration. Other things that we talked about, as council was considering an industrial park, and we have located a site near Sandy Springs. Council hasn't acted on this. This is up for discussion, but we've had commitments from numerous private bodies who would be interested in participating in that project. We had an offer today from a company who said they'd be happy to do everything because they thought it was a great site. So that is an ongoing process. Another thing that we're very happy about is we thought for some time, or we felt it might not have been true, it appeared to be true, that we did not have a good relationship with Clemson University. So we have reached out to Clemson University, and we've had several meetings to try to solidify that relationship. Our primary interest at that time was to bring life back to the Clemson Research Park, which had lain dormant for a long period of time. Everybody in America knows about all of the activity that goes on at ICAR. That is always in the news. It always gets all the headlines and all the publicity. But more research dollars are generated at the Clemson Research Park than ICAR. Much, much more. And as you well know, that we're working with a company right now at the Clemson Research Park, which we hope to bring to council if everything goes well, that will add another 100 new jobs at the Clemson Research Park on Wild Hog Road, South Carolina 87. So we have that going on in a continuing relationship with Clemson University. The other thing that we touched on was the unemployment rate in Anderson County, which last month was at 4.6, which was a 14-year low. So we were very proud of that. And at that point in time, we also pointed out the fact that we were going to have to work with all of our partners to provide training for our people, old, young, people disaffected, because we need those people to be trained to go back in the workforce, because we have such a huge demand for welders at this point in time. I mean, if we had 150 trained welders right now, they could go in and start to work tomorrow at a good job with good benefits and the opportunity to move on up the ladder. We also talked about something that is more real, and we talked about in the last 6 years, our wages have risen per hour 17.5%, from $13.86 to $16.41. So that's a real effect in people's pockets that they can spend and use in the community. So we're very happy about that. As you know, we are constructing a road. The county, is constructing a road for TTI. And if you haven't been out there to look at that, if you want to go see what 1.5 million square feet looks like under construction, you should ride down the road and take a look at it. And as council is well aware, we're hoping that it's going to be much, much more than that. But also across the road, you have an industrial site which a private firm is looking to purchase. And there have already been conversations between that private group and other private groups about locating suppliers on that piece of property. And because we have invested that money on that road, that opens up that entire piece of property for future development. So we're very excited about that, but I would encourage anyone to go out there and look at that facility under construction. The other thing we talked about, and council gets these updates in their Public Works Weeklies, First Quality has completed the last line that they were working on. We're hoping for another line, and we're hoping for more good things out of First Quality. And so far, we're feeling very, very hopeful. Another thing that I can mention to you, we have a project like Wexler. We're telling you about these job numbers, and we're telling you about what the wage rates are. But a lot of the companies that have been announced here on the council floor, you can't even go to work there yet, because take the case of Wexler at 81 and 85, a German automotive company that supplies various automobile manufacturers. That plant's coming out of the ground right now. You should go out there and take a look at that if you want to see progress. The other thing is that if you really want to see a really good success story, council voted on this floor for A&E, which was an Irish switchgear company. If you remember on 85, if you get off on Clemson Boulevard and go towards Greenville, if you'll remember on the left, there was always the Supreme Machine building that was there. The Supreme Machine building was vacant for 5 years, maybe even 6 years. The council allowed us to entice this company to come to Anderson. If you remember the old Supreme Machine building, then you need to look on both sides what's happening there now, because they are going gangbusters, and they have already outstripped what they promised us they would do. And I could go on with other industries like that, but I mentioned the 100 new jobs that if we don't mess up, we'll have those at the research park. Everybody knows that we primarily do manufacturing jobs, but we also provide a great deal of information to commercial entities that are looking to come into our county. They want to know what you have, where the people are, what's the traffic count, and things like that. It's always been a fact that commercial projects follow manufacturing jobs. That's what drives them. And so you're seeing more looks from more commercial entities who haven't previously done business in Anderson County. So we're excited about those possibilities coming in. It's going to offer more opportunities for us. Just as an aside, we've on 28 bypass for some time probably was hit very hard during the Depression, but now with the Tri-County Tech Campus going out on the lower end of 28 bypass, and the new Walmart neighborhood grocery going on at the corner of Whitehall and Pyramidary Road, that's about to take place here shortly. You're going to see another grocery store in that area. So we think that's going to be good for the people in that part of town. One thing that I always try to remind everybody, that Anderson County has more foreign flags, more foreign businesses than any other county in South Carolina. As a matter of fact, we are 2 flagpoles short out at the airport right now because we just haven't had time to put those up. And I still think that we are the only county in the state of South Carolina, maybe in the southeast, that can fly the flag of Monaco. And it's not gambling related, so we're very excited about that. But that was my presentation in a nutshell. And if anybody has any questions, would like to ask any things, and again, I would remind you that most of these things that I'm telling you, y'all have already voted on.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Mr. Burns.
Yes, ma'am.
I thank you for bringing that to the council.
Yes, ma'am.
I read about it in the newspaper, but it's good for us, for the council to hear it first.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so I thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
But some things that were mentioned, I'm a little perplexed about. For example, it seems as if Belton, Powdersville, Honey Path, Pendleton, and District 1 and Ivor are, can you see? Okay, good. Are going to be blessed with new businesses and new industries and everything. But I didn't hear anything about District 2. That's my district. You mentioned the Broadway Lake Dam.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that was mandated. That was not done by us, the council of the people. That was mandated by the state. We don't have a choice. That dam has got to be fixed.
Correct.
And I have been talking and pushing and hoping and praying about the Broadway lake for a long time. But was told we needed about, was it $300,000 to fix it, and we didn't have the money, or we didn't get the money for that. And also, the only other thing you mentioned about District 2 was Toxaway. You mentioned something about Toxaway, but Toxaway is not a new endeavor. We've been working on Toxaway for 16 years.
That's correct.
And we're still working on it.
And
so I don't think that should go under the head of the new things that's coming in.
the new thing is that we got a grant, so that is new money, so that's why I mentioned that. And I will point out and echo just exactly what you said, that Anderson County was working to repair the dam at Broadway Lake well before the flood events had occurred. We were already working on that.
Working on getting the money.
Working on getting on the money and doing the preliminary engineering.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I know that because District 2 at one point had to donate $100,000 to get that fixed. And I haven't heard too much about others having to do that, but we did it. Also, all right, so really there are no new projects going on in District 2. I didn't hear anything about District 4 as well. Is there anything going on over there?
Which one is District 4? I'm bad.
That's Mr. Dunn's district.
I'm District 5.
Excuse me.
That's Mr. Allen's district. We mentioned
Yeah,
we mentioned the Clemson Research Park in Mr. Allen's district,
Right.
and we mentioned the possibility of an industrial park in Mr. Allen's district.
okay, so what's new in District 5 for this upcoming year that we look forward to?
Grocery store.
A grocery store?
Mhm.
Okay, well,
Green Pond.
I thought that was Mr. He's taking so much time.
But even though it hasn't been publicly announced, McLaughlin is expanding because, as you know, when they came in, they used part of the building. I believe that's in your district, Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
And they were allowed some local people to use the rear end of that building for warehousing. Those people are now moving out of the back of that building because they need all of the space for production.
Okay, so it does turn out to be that my district is the only district where we don't have anything new for our folks and for the people who live out there. Nothing.
Well, Ms. Floyd, I would have to go look at the district lines. I usually don't look at a district on where things are going.
Okay, well, Mr. Burns, I understand that, but I do. I know where.
I understand that too.
And I do know where things are. I'm very much in tune. That's why I'm wondering why nothing is happening in District 2. And that's a fair question.
Oh,
Now, when you sit here and you hear about all these other things and all these other places, that's a fair question.
that's a fair question.
Anyone else have anything? Appreciate the work, Ms. Wilson.
It's going to be such a wonderful godsend to have the grant funding for Toxaway and Pelzer, because those sites have languished.
I don't think your mic's on, Ms. Wilson.
Anyway, the bottom line is to be able to clean those sites and to have them useful again, particularly for those communities, Toxaway and Pelzer, will be just an amazing big help for the people in those areas and future economic development. Without getting them cleaned up, they have no capability. We're not able to hear that much.
Yeah,
It's
picking
gonna
up
be
now.
a lake clean for the most part and render those sites usable again. So that would be a big help in District 2 and District 7.
Was there anyone else?
I have something.
Go ahead.
Okay, the Toxaway site, as I said, have been going on for 16 years. 16 years. If we can find money to do all the other things that are going on, we could have found money 16 years ago. And right now, District 2 needs help now. And to be said that this is going to help the people of District 2, how? Thank you.
Appreciate Ms. Burns. I'd just like to add that all those talking points and what I think is good news, that's just, we just, a couple of weeks into the new year, so we've got a lot to look forward to and a lot of work to get done. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
One more thing, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I came to you and told you, Mr. Burns, that we do not have a swimming pool for the children of Anderson County. If they are fortunate enough to be born in a family that could afford it, they can go to the Y, or they can have their own private swimming pools. But we do not have one swimming pool in Anderson County that our kids can go to. I've asked you to please look into Broadway Lake and see about the possibility of putting a park there so people can go in there swimming. When you go to the park in the summertime, when you go to Haney Park in the summertime, you will see people in that lake swimming like crazy. And there's a big sign that says no swimming. And then there's the police chiefs and the sheriff folks standing right there watching the people swimming in the pool. I told you we could do something now. We could pay for that now, this summer, or we're gonna pay for it later. But every time I ask you, you still haven't heard from the engineers. But yet, we're hearing from a lot of other engineers. I would like to have a park. And I don't mean the park grant, because that's not enough money. I would like to see a park for District 2, for every district in this county, because every person have a right to that park. Broadway Lake belongs to the county. I would like to see a park, sir, at Broadway Lake, Haney Park, by this summer. You can do it.
Moving on to citizens' comments. This time, Mr. Harmon will call your name, and once he calls your name, please step forward, state your name and district, address the chair, keep matters on the agenda items only, and keep in mind the Finance Committee report has been took off the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, there are no citizens signed up to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Harmon. We're on to item number 9, community organization to keep America beautiful. Ms. Floyd.
Somebody called me and told me that somebody was on that radio show talking about Keep America Beautiful, and they mentioned something about community members don't make a difference, and community members have not done a good job in picking up the paper. We don't need to be using community members for that. That shocked me. That shocked me, because the same person who said it had a meeting on community members and the parks. I'm not prepared tonight to do that because the information I needed has not arrived. But at the next meeting, Mr. Dunn, I would like to talk about that radio station comment and the people of Anderson County who are working so hard to keep their neighborhoods clean, to be told that they don't make a difference.
Moving on to item number 10, dissemination of information, Ms. Floyd.
Okay, you know how I spent my holiday working. Mr. Dunn, Mr. Burns, you did a good job tonight, and I've already made my comments on that. I will repeat next year. Please let us be first, so we'll have to read it in the paper. Okay, you did an excellent job.
Is it? Moving on, item number 11, presentation of Green Pond Landing's first year. We just had 1 year anniversary. Glenn Brill.
Thank you, Chairman Dunn. Yeah, Green Pond's first birthday was December 19th, and several of us were at the County Museum that morning for a program, and when I mentioned the anniversary to Mr. Dunn, he said, we need a program on Green Pond's first year at council, so that's why we're here. And it was a fun presentation to put together because as you're doing an event, you bounce from event to event and you really don't get a world view. But sitting down last week to put this proposal together made me pretty tired when I looked at all that has happened at Green Pond and all that's going to happen at Green Pond in 2016. So Mr. Dunn, if you could drop the screen and turn on the projector, we'll take a look.
Kim, would you mind helping us out here? You don't want me to drop the projector.
Chair, while they work,
Mm-hmm.
may I ask about this?
Yeah.
Did everybody get a copy? Everybody get a copy?
I don't know. I hadn't looked at it yet. If I got one or not. When did he get it? Tonight or from what time? I hadn't looked. At my stuff. I got a stack of mail right there. I hadn't.
Everybody get a copy of this?
I believe from this instance, that's the information you requested about a grant that was received from Gresham and Barrett, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, fine, so the speakers on what you're saying? And that was in response to your.
2 months ago.
Ma'am?
More than 3 months. Thank you.
Kim, you don't want it that's able to do that. You don't want able to do that for more job security for you. So that if you don't want able to do that, that's more job security for her. She don't want here to not be able to do that.
So the best is yet to come at Green Pond.
Appreciate that. Regional Department done a lot of work. Lots went on out there in the short years. Had an anniversary. Look forward to more bigger things and the impact it has on the county.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Glenn, congratulations to all the people who came together to get Green Pond done. I know it's one of our brightest things that we have done. And I'm very proud of it. And I'm pleased with the money that it's bringing in and all of that. But I do have one question. I don't know how to ask this gingerly, but I have to ask it. All right? Were there any African Americans there at all?
Yes, ma'am.
There definitely were. We had several African-American teams fishing at the ABA National Championship last October, including a nice gentleman who came down from upper New York State to fish the tournament.
Good, good. Well, could it be possible next year that we show some pictures? He would have made a good picture since he was from way up New York that came down here to the South to do this. But it would have been nice to see a group of Anderson County folks, the black ones, the white ones, the other people that have come down to South Carolina or that's using this too. It can't be all one group of people. Please remember that next year.
You taught me that 11 years ago, and I'm not going to forget it.
You haven't learned it yet. You haven't done it yet. So I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Glenn. Appreciate it. Moving on to item number 12, New Year's goals, Ms. Floyd.
Yeah, you're right. But I'm going to disappoint. I'm waiting for the next year.
Get those lights, Kim. Don't mind, or somebody. Yes, ma'am.
The next meeting, because this meeting had a chemical to be put, so I can keep something.
Moving on, Ms. Floyd's not going to do item number 12 tonight, do it another date. Item number 13, ordinance first reading. The 13A 2015-044, a ordinance to rezone plus or minus 4.17 acres of from R20 single-family residential from minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet to S1, a service district at 750 Griffin Road, Belton. Tax map 199-00-02-019, title only. This will be a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to this matter, please step forward and state your name and district and address the chair on this matter. Anyone at all wishing to speak to this? Yes, sir. That she's working on it, ain't she? Yep. Go is.
My name is Calvin Griffin. I own property on Griffin Road adjacent to the piece of property that's in question. I have 102 acres of land that's been in my family since 1790. It's immediately adjacent to the proposed zoning change. It's got 40 acres of loblolly pines right now and 62 acres that are natural forest that's being managed by a professional forester for to protect the natural habitat and the and also for the expecting eventual development. Mr. Simmons had proposed to change the property to S1 zoning. Initially stated that the reason that he wanted to do it was to build a building for personal use, and we've since found out that the personal use is to use it as a parking facility or storage facility to assist him in his garbage pickup business. We can imagine the increased traffic, the noise, and the smell, and the debris that we can expect from that kind of activity. One of our principal concerns is that the piece of property faces residences that are already there, and it's in the middle of an area that was zoned S20 for development as a residential area. And if it's changed to an S1 zoning, S1 zoning opens the property up to a wide variety of uses like landfills, lumberyards, parking areas, recycling centers, service stations, or sexually oriented businesses. And we think that S1 zoning would allow that little isolated piece of property to open it up to uses that are incompatible with the local area. And I'm quoting from the Anderson County 20-year comprehensive plan. It says, incompatible development adversely affects surrounding properties, often resulting in an uninviting, declining area in which few individuals are willing to invest. That's my big concern about the plans for rezoning that area. That area has been zoned, it was zoned R20 in, I think, 2001 or 2002. It's within a mile of that piece of property, there is a long strip along Highway 29 where ample pieces of property are available that are zoned already for commercial use. It was zoned R20 in 2013 when Mr. Simmons bought it. It has been zoned R20 for all this time, and I'd really appreciate it if you would keep it zoned R20 to protect the current and the future residents. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Else wishing to step forward? Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
Anyone else wishing to step forward? Come on up. State your name and district.
My name is Kevin McKithen, and my residence will be right across the street from where this gentleman wants to establish his business, and I think it's very obvious why I really don't want it there. So without wasting your time, just use your own imagination. But anyway, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I liked your prayer.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else at all? Hearing none, public hearing to be closed. Mr. Foreman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just as a quick reminder, staff recommended denial for this request. Zoning Advisory Group recommended denial by a vote of 3-0, and Planning Commission recommended denial as well by a vote of 5-0. Thank you.
Anything else? You may have any questions? Anything, Mr. Foreman?
I asked first, yeah.
Go ahead.
My question is for the gentleman who spoke. Sir, could you come back up to the mic? I want to understand one thing, please. Could you tell me, where is this property?
Oh, it's 750 Griffin Road.
Where is Griffin? What's it near?
It's near 7 to 12 residences that are directly across the street from the property in question. It's near Dorchester Baptist Church.
Open the belt. Cheddar community, right? Close to Cheddar community?
Can I help you with that answer?
Yes, sir.
Would you stand, please, so I can hear you?
29 Jockey Lot.
Yes.
Before you get to Jockey Lot, Auto Corner Parks between Griffin and Belleville.
Good, I got you now, good. Yeah, it seems like we didn't know either, but,
Combs Road and Griffin Road.
yes, yeah, I know where it is now. You said that, you started naming things that I missed the front part of that. You started naming, all kind of places. Are you trying to say that these things are not zoned for this particular area?
That whole area is zoned R20. And it's south of the strip of commercial zoning along Highway 29. And so it's zoned for light density residential, minimum of 20,000 square feet lots. The problem is that S1 zoning, which is designed to be a cross between commercial and industrial use, allows any number of activities, most of which are incompatible with a residential area. And one concern is that if it's rezoned S1, then the owner could change his mind and decide to open up anything. And if it's already zoned, then he's been given permission.
We got you.
To do it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Ma'am.
Wait a minute, hold.
Yes, ma'am.
Hold it.
Wait, just a second, sir. Hang on a minute. But the public hearing's over with, Ms. Floyd. Now, what's
I'm asking questions so I can understand better when I'm getting ready to do it. Okay, sir, is this property that it's across the street from this guy, but it's not across the street from you, right? But it affects that whole area.
It does, but it's immediately adjacent to my property. We share a
I see, I
property.
understand. Across the street from him and immediately, I wouldn't like that either. Yeah.
His property is very That's it, Nathan.
Oh, okay.
That's good. Anybody got any questions for Ms. Wilson?
This is actually,
We know that, Ms. Fant. We're trying to work on it. We're just having technical difficulty tonight.
this is District 7,
It's-
and all the back.
Hang on a minute, Ms. Wilson. Let me borrow my.
Thank you. This is in District 7, and it's in a nice area, a lot of farms and large lot development. I went out and looked out the zoning request, I guess sometime around Thanksgiving. Our process is for it to go before the Citizen Advisory Zoning Board and then Planning Commission, and they very correctly ruled in the right way. And you certainly have your councilman's agreement that that would be inappropriate. I haven't talked with my other fellow council members, but I believe they're going to see it that way too. To put something of that nature in a residential area would not be an appropriate use. So, thank you.
Anyone else? Get you back here. Have a seat. And they trying to get you another mic, Ms. Wilson. Anything that's hollering, borrow mine again. Anyone have anything else, Mr. Foreman?
Can I make the motion that we do not?
Ms. Wilson makes a motion. We now have a second with Mr. Crowder. Now, any further discussion? Any no? Hearing none. So, all in favor of the motion, show of hands. All opposed, like sign. So the motion carries unanimously. Bear with us. This time, I know we ain't got much to do, but we're gonna take about a 5-minute recess. They got changes.
TV, progress,
We got picture but no sound.
I spent one day in a little French town, but really good small Strasbourg, which is, right in the Alsace region that's floated back and forth between Germany and France for years and centuries. I did stay up pretty late last night, but I did not have this. She said you would be in by Wednesday morning. Should be no last. Of course, I'm up there today. But let's play a good football.
They did. The only thing I hate about it.
They did.
But that's not bad.
Yeah, just
No, I didn't.
Was Danny Ford, and you know who coaches the special teams? Danny Ford. That's what hurt him. I had worked last year. I did tip him. Turned around and looked at
I didn't see it. I seen it. Well, I watched him miss it, but I didn't see it. Kicker said his fault.
Well, he took
Yeah, oh, he took
a lot of food.
Yeah, they definitely use that.
Yeah, sure. They should get
Somebody's sports shoot, I didn't want to do that. Talking about.
I wouldn't mind having some of that.
Last points of the Clemson score, which cost better
Good, all right, thank you.
Because the spread was 7. The spread was 7.
But you know, there was that one touchdown that got knocked out of the receiver's hands in the end zone. He might have been able to, if he had it, the one by two.
I believe it was more. I believe it was more.
There was. That's what I heard. I heard 75 points.
Somebody else on that one. They say it's a lot more orange than it did.
They gave us one.
Mike married well. Believe me, he married very well. He got to work. I ain't gonna tell that woman, she was already making good money for it. They ain't gonna tell her. They ain't gonna tell her. Now, they. You got it? Start getting back around, we'll get finished up.
Yeah, working. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's working.
I'm, apologize, we'll try to get this straightened out, it won't happen next council meeting. I think about half of them, proud of Ms. Wilson, it's not working. As I said earlier, moving on to item number 14, which was took off the agenda. We'll be moving to item number 15, request to